Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Twenties Detox. I feel like a lot of things have been on my mind lately, and I just want to share a more real episode where I'm not so much the teacher in this. I'm more like your friend. Like I'm more like with you on the struggle bus, kind of, because I know that I put a lot of pressure on myself. And I know that a lot of you guys put a lot of pressure on yourselves. And I just sometimes think when we hear somebody who we may listen to for advice, whether that be kind of our role models or just influencers, to hear when they are actively going through something, it just grounds us in the sense that, like, wow, each of us have our own struggles. Each of us have our own lives that we're trying to navigate. And no matter what we may think, we're all just trying to do the best that we can. And the older I get, the more I see how true that is. There are going to be many phases in your life where you think that you figure something out, but then something new is going to come. A new chapter is going to come into your life that you have to try to navigate and deal with. And it's something to remember that in order to get forward or go forward in your life, you're going to have moments in your life where you feel a little bit down or just energetically off in order to level up. That's just always what happens. And something that's really helped me accept this is to honor the fact that everything is cyclical. When you have your ups of doing really well and things are all working out, eventually it's going to come back down and you're going to have to do these moments of reflection and have more times in solitude to kind of understand what that means in order for you to get back up again. But I remember as a kid, I would always be slightly pessimistic. And I would tell my sister, it's like, no matter what happens, whenever something good is going to happen, I'm just waiting for the shoe to drop. Like, I'm just waiting for something bad to happen. So why even be happy in this present moment? I remember Brené Brown even said something like that. Like, one of the most stressful emotions can be joy, because you're like, oh my God, I'm happy right now. Something bad is going to happen though. And what about if it just gets taken away tonight or tomorrow? Like, you fall in love and you're like, oh my God, but what about if they cheat on me? You know what I mean? There's this duality that we're constantly needing to accept. And that's kind of what I want to dive into today. Like, I want to talk about the fact that even if you are somebody that is into personal development, they're in their wellness era, there's going to be dips. And I hope that you realize that's pretty freaking normal. And that would have happened regardless if you're in this wellness era or not. I share a lot of stuff online, right? Like, I am somebody who shares and I'm pretty open, not about like my personal life, but more about the way that I'm navigating this time of my life of being in my 20s, because I don't want to make it seem like I have everything figured out yet. Like, still trying to find the career that I want. And that's probably one of the biggest stressors that I have right now, amongst other things. But basically, this episode is me kind of doing a little bit of a journal dump and kind of help you guys feel less alone. I was listening to this lady talk about some advice that she has given to her daughter and to her daughter's friends. And she said, everybody is figuring out their life. I'm still figuring out my life. Your parents are still figuring out your life. Your grandparents are still figuring out their life. Nobody has this blueprint at a certain age where you have everything figured out and things just work out for you. I think that with age, though, navigating, figuring out stuff, we get more comfortable in it. We get more comfortable in the path that we have for ourselves. Up until our maybe mid-20s, we're in school where we're trying to shape our future. And I remember I took a careers class in the 10th grade, and I'm in Canada, so we say the 10th grade. I remember we had to do this multiple choice thing of how our personalities best reflect a type of career path. And I think the top two, I was leaning more towards security. It's like a karate instructor, and a police officer. And look at what I went into. First of all, I was already a karate instructor. I did karate since I was 7. So when I was 14, I started becoming a karate instructor for younger kids. And then when I was about 18, I ended up teaching adults. So I was already a karate instructor at the time, and I thought that was funny. But also, it's like, how old are we when we're in the 10th grade? Like, what, 16 years old? Our brain is not nearly developed to know what career path we're going to be going on. And I found it absolutely ridiculous later on in my life that that is like a freaking course. That one career class primed us so hard into what course we took in university. And then later on in your life, you're like, wait, I didn't actually want to do this though. I don't know. My thing about like our path is when we're so young and we have so many things that prime us or tell us what our path should look like, when it doesn't feel good, you think something's wrong with you. You think like, well, this is what my 10th grade quiz told me I should do, so why am I not like this anymore? And we forget that we're in such an evolving time of our life. Our brain is literally still growing, guys. Until the age of 25, our brain isn't even fully developed into knowing what we want to do with our life, into knowing who we want to be with, who we are. For some people, if you have family members or friends that are very open in communication about their struggles, about their life, then, that can speed up the process. But if you're not, then it's a slower process and it's more difficult to kind of have a grasp on what your life wants to look like for you. And I think so many of us, because of social media, compare ourselves to others in the path that they're going on or what they want to do, that we always make ourselves seem less than. Because what is social media mainly looking like? The highlights. If you look on my personal Instagram, it is like just my travels, because I love traveling. I very rarely have ever deleted a picture on my personal Instagram because it's more for me than anything to look back on. I mean, granted, maybe sometimes in university, those pictures are more for getting attention, but before and now, it's mainly for me. But like I'm trying to say is they're highlights. I don't travel like every single month. I wish I did, but I don't. And I work a lot in between those times. But a lot of people may just think, oh, this girl's just like traveling all the time. She's not even working. It's like, well, even when I was traveling, I was working, but I'm not going to be sharing that because this is not like that kind of Instagram. There's this new app that just came out, Threads. And for some reason, I know it's like a Twitter, but I'm liking it for the fact that I have a feeling it's going to be more real. Like TikTok and Instagram are so fun to me. Like they're my favorite because I love visuals. I'm a visual girl. I love the videos that I see people and what they're doing with their life, but I can't help sometimes feel like, oh, I really should get that new product, and I should really figure out how to make more money because that person's making way more money than I am at the same age. And we get so distracted in what our soul wants, like what the deeper parts of ourselves want. There's so many distractions out there. And later on in our life, the distractions become less dazzling because we've gone through the consequences of understanding half of it's fake. Like half of it is just trying to get people's attention. It's just trying to sell us something. Because of that extra layer of social media, of so many people showing what they're doing with their life at the same age, you can't help but compare and thinking like, oh, maybe I'm behind. Or the reverse. You see somebody that is not doing as well as you think you are according to societal standards, and it makes you feel good momentarily, and it's like this whole ego trip. That's one thing that I've been kind of struggling with. And then another thing that I've been kind of dealing with and created this challenge that I have not even yet started because the fear is so big is doing things alone more. I have this fear of being alone. Never used to have that. I in university was very, very independent when I lived alone. I lived alone, but I also when I lived with some of my friends, I would go to the gym alone, I would go grocery shopping alone, I would go and study alone, I would go to random shots, I went to church alone. I did so many things alone. And I lived in an area that wasn't the most safe of areas, but I still felt comfortable of doing that. Um, Now, granted, I don't have access to the car all the time because it's shared now. There's some limitations with it. I work with my parents, so most of the time I'm driving with them. I don't have a lot of independence. And in the beginning of the shift from living alone to doing this, it was very, very hard and I resisted it a lot and I hated it. But now 2 years in of doing this, it's now become my norm. That the reverse of doing things alone and being more independent is scary. I'm finding myself getting more affected by things I'm seeing online of the TTC, the subway system in Toronto, and how scary it is for young girls. And the thing is, like I said, I did karate and I literally taught grown men how to fight when I was 18 years old. But I was a really good fighter. And I protected myself sometimes in university. And like, I would walk past people who were like addicts on the side of the street, or like these men coming up to me and like totally dealing with it in full confidence, completely alone. But now I'm so afraid, guys. Like, I don't know what's got into me. I don't know if it's me becoming more dependent on my boyfriend. It's weird how you think that you have overcome something, but if you don't practice it, you can totally slip back into old habits of codependency, of that same fear. Then the media really wants us to stay in a fear mindset and keeps us little. It keeps us in a box. It keeps us conforming, keeps us working. So if you're not careful with the stuff that you're consuming, you may be totally influenced by it. And I haven't even known, like, this has been so subconscious in my brain, this conditioning of me being afraid to do things alone. I didn't even realize this until I went on that trip in Florida recently with my sister and my friends, and her and a friend were really trying to like they live very far away from each other, so they spend a lot of time together. And I was alone on the last little bit of it and wanted to do things, obviously didn't want to wait for them, but I kind of like subtly felt like I wanted to. I didn't want to do things alone. And I got the courage to wake up at like 5 in the morning to go see a sunset. And I want to say that it was the most freeing experience ever, but I was riddled with anxiety of wondering what people are going to think of me, hoping that nobody's judging me. I'm making sure that I'm, especially being in a bathing suit, like, is nobody going to come up to me? Didn't want to be objectified. Like, all the thoughts were going through my brain. And I can't believe that I'm back here. And I wanted to be raw and open with the fact that sometimes old patterns may pop up. And it's very critical to not get like super down on yourself if you're somebody that falls back in old habits or old patterns. Just give yourself a little bit of grace right now. It's good that you finally recognized it. I remember the book A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle said the first step always is awareness. Like, once you start becoming aware of your situation, you're already boosting your consciousness towards that situation. So yeah, that fear of doing things alone thing, she's hidden. And that's also where I'm like, my grandma does everything alone. Like, if she can do it, I can do it. I just think sometimes it's good to look at our elders. This generation has a lot of hate towards the boomers and older generations because, well, they've kind of screwed us up in the climate area. But there's a lot of wisdom that they have and confidence that they have that we wish we had. But it does take some experience and unlearning. There's the word unlearning to do. Another thing that I know some of you guys struggle with, and I am too, is change. I'm at a time in my life where I need to think about possibly moving out soon, maybe with my partner, my boyfriend, but there is some change that's going to come my way. And I've never left my room, like my room. I've left my room, but I've kind of lived in this home my whole life. And I just have such an attachment towards it, my home, that living anywhere else seems so scary. There's this recent thing that went all over TikTok. It's like everyone's home and your sister is next door, your siblings are next door, and like made people like bawl their eyes out for anybody moving out. And I like couldn't even read it all because, yeah, this is like one of my other fears. My sister and I are best friends, and the thought of me moving out for good and her moving out for good means that we're never going to be like living in the same home again if things all work out. And that's super scary because we're so close. Going to be such a big thing to navigate financially, going through the emotions of not being in my home, trying to make this new place my home. Moving is so stressful. So yeah, there's a lot of things to unpack for myself. And I feel like I haven't been this vulnerable in a podcast episode yet. But I definitely feel like the summertime for me has always been a time of great reflection because it isn't this like school year, this work year. I feel even like in the summertime for my work, it starts to slow down and like people go to their cottages and like, you know, you can have shorter Fridays. We have a lot more time to wind down and think. And that thinking can be scary. Like that thinking can bring up things. But I'm really trying to just enjoy this season, enjoy my life. Like I'm stressing about these things, but like you gotta also remember to live your life. That's the last thing that I want to kind of talk about is I've always been someone that kind of over intellectualizes my life to try and make it easier to bear and like kind of maximize it as much as possible. But I need to remember that there needs to be a balance of learning to live my life too, to allow myself to experience things and not wait for the shoe to drop. Be happy in happy moments. And like, I've been really, maybe that's also why I haven't been so regular with the podcast episodes. Like, I'm just really trying to enjoy my summer. Past years, I would really hate my summer. I'd just work myself to the bone because I didn't want to think. I didn't want to experience these feelings. But now I'm trying to be easier on myself and let myself just slow down. I get off my phone. I'll read. I'll journal. I'll be outside. I've been going outside a lot. I'm swimming every morning. I'd wake up right in the morning and I'll go in my pool and I'll swim because, like, what's the point of having showers if you have a pool or you have a lake outside? Duh. I just wanted to show you guys that, like, I'm going through stuff too. And this whole thing about the Twenties Detox, you gotta go through it. There's like these transition periods of the unlearn, learn, relearn cycle. There's gonna be those moments in between when you're just like, well, I don't know what to unlearn and I don't know what to learn and I don't know what to relearn. So why don't I live my life? Because we only have this one life. So be easier on yourself. Remember that you're not alone. You're going to get through anything that you're experiencing. And I love you all. I hope that you're enjoying your summer so far. You're having lots of fun. You're doing things that you want to do. Okay? There's always time for that. You got to make time for that. Anyway, enjoy your week. I'll talk to you guys next time.